welcome to Cybertopia cast interviews. Tonight we're talking to Jen, who played Maurice on Cybertopia. So Jen, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a bit about Maurice?
Hi, I'm Jen. I played Maurice, the disgruntled former food service worker who had their entire career stolen by robots after trying really hard to make themselves more efficient by gathering as many cybernetic upgrades related to food service as they could.
They kind of made themselves about as robotic as you can be without becoming a robot, and then robots took their job anyway, right?
Still got replaced, yeah.
So, yeah, Maurice was a favourite character, I think, for a lot of people. He's been mentioned several times, is hilarious in everything that they were in. And yeah, I think you had a real impact on the cast and the audience with his behaviour and his antics.
I'm really glad.
It's funny because everyone was at most in 3 missions, right?
Yeah.
Including the big finale. So you were in the off the rails one, which was the jump train.
Yep.
Anti-heist or heist protection, kind of a train escort almost.
Yes, yeah, the reverse train heist.
Yeah. And then you were also in Sign of the Times, where we did the kind of neighborhood world building session. And
yes, yeah.
That was wild. And then the finale, of course, was the most bonkers shit I have ever had in any game at all of anything. It was
absolutely
amazing and ridiculous. Do you have any favorite moments of Maurice's of your own?
Gosh, I loved in the first mission melting the doors shut with the microwave gun and getting the microwave gun ding in there because I hadn't thought about it dinging. And then I can't remember who said it, but someone was like, oh, and it's just ding. And I was like, that's fantastic. And I love it.
I used that clip in the trailer that I use for promoting. And it's Ray saying, tell me that your microwave gun goes ding when it's done.
It's just wonderful.
It was just such a nice touch. Chef kiss on the chef.
Absolutely, yeah. It set a really nice tone for Maurice, I think, for the rest of the show. I loved their dark turn at the end of the second mission. I
did not see that coming. When that happened, when you went down the route of, we're going to trick them into getting into our van. It's oh.
Hey, play a social character. I've said to you before, this is what comes from playing too much Cyberpunk Red, is that I'm going to make it dark dystopia, no matter how utopian parts of the world are. We're going to make it dark. And hey, as I said, Maurice has this job because they had no other job to turn to, and they needed it.
Yeah.
And this seemed like the best way to get it done without a whole lot of bloodshed and complications. So
yeah, and that's such a funny turn from the very start, when in the intro bit to Off the Rails, your character was very kind of unsure of themselves and being like, I'm not sure I'm supposed to be here sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then by the end of their second mission, they're like, all right, getting the shit done.
Yeah, I've figured out how to exist in this corporate world, yeah.
And I mean, even within the mission Signs of the Times, it was all pretty bright and breezy. You go into a diner and you have a nice chat and give away some food. Then you go into a bowling alley and have some shenanigans.
Of a hockey team. It was great.
Oh man, the horror hockey scene was so funny because you flailed so badly.
Oh yeah.
You were all struggling, and then eventually Keith comes in with something and saves the day and manages to recover, and you're just being cringed with Mark.
We beefed our rolls hard. I think we used all our bad social roll luck up then and saved up the good luck for the finale.
It was so funny. It was so perfect thing. Oh, we're interacting with kids. None of us are kids. Yeah. None of us know how to talk to children. Why have we done this to ourselves?
It was real hello there, fellow kids moments. It was dreadful.
But then when it came back around to doing the bit with the hackers in the room and you're trying to talk them around, everything just went perfectly.
You're
interacting with adults again, everything's fine.
Yeah, stuff clicked.
Yeah. And I guess it's built into the system, the swinginess, right? But
I love it.
Even in that first mission in Off the Rails, where you do the melting with the microwave gun and it goes horrendously wrong, and then and you get your first trauma. And you're like, oh, fuck, I really fucked this up. And then the very next roll, you roll a nat 20 to bring it back out. And it's like, holy shit, yeah, it completely obliterated the people attacking you, and you didn't even really mean to do that, and just accidentally saved the day.
I think that first trauma into skill moment made me fall. I was already pretty into the system, but that moment made me really properly go like, okay, I love this. I'm a big fan of failing, and then a big fan of failing forward and turning those failures into like character moments.
Yeah, and that was a huge one for you. It was, like, I think everyone on that call when we did that recording just went, whoa, like it was that big cinematic boom moment, and it finished off everything. And you didn't even really know as a character because you were in the train.
Yeah.
I remember in the session, you're just like, so was that good?
Well, because it must have been a fluke.
Yeah.
That's the only way I can think of. Hitting a nat 20 on something that you've taken a trauma on feels like it must have been a fluke, because there's no way you go into that role expecting to nail it. Because your character has a preconception of like, whatever you're doing, if you're rolling against your trauma, your character has got to know that they're probably not going to nail this.
Last time I did this, it went awfully wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm trying it again anyway.
Yeah. And I love it because it's a thing that you don't get in the big tabletop games, right? Where a failure has that much of a lasting consequence and effect on a character. Because, like, you can get beaten down to, unconsciousness and 2 failed death saves and then come back to life in D&D, and you have a bit of a sleep and you're fine. And I know, good roleplay could fix that, but there's no mechanical lasting effects a lot of the time to things like that. So both, failing in the first place, but also then overcoming those failures. And that's one of the things I really like about Cybertopia is you keep those failures and they impact upon you going forward, and the overcoming of those impact upon you going forward. It's a bit like in Fate, where like your injuries end up being...
They're part of the character. It's not just part of the role play. It's not just part of the journey. It builds into you.
Absolutely.
Mechanically as well as role play wise. So yeah.
Absolutely. And I can't remember which version of Fate it is because I've been reading a lot of them lately. But one version, if you are injured enough, eventually, rather than just dying, you've taken such a life-changing injury that your core aspect, much like the core in Cybertopia, your core Fate character aspect changes to reflect that injury, which I can't think of a more impactful way to carry on the story and the history of where that character's been. And I love it, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard Cybertopia be compared to Fate a few times in the past.
Absolutely,
that sense. And the abstract nature of the skills and the items and everything, it has a lot of similarities to the way Fate works. And I've never played Fate. I don't the books or anything. I probably do, actually. It's probably been in a bundle at some point.
Yeah, probably.
I've never played Fate, so it is a system that I would like to try at some point. I'm not sure, like, Fate Accelerated, or there are a lot of offshoots.
Yeah, there's quite a few. But I found that playing Fate has inspired my Cybertopia character creation somewhat.
Yeah.
Because sort of Fate character creation, depending on what version you play, you've got stats and stuff as well, and it's a more complicated system in that regard. But you have like those aspects and skills kind of things. But they encourage you to name them, sometimes like go kind of really abstract on them. I played a character in a Fate game who was sort of like an undead doctor, right?
Okay.
Loved them, loved playing them. And their aspects were things like a fool and his limbs are easily parted was his skill because he was stitched together.
Yeah.
And it doesn't tell you what you're good at or bad at. It isn't like a skill or anything. But if I do my Cybertopia characters a bit like that, it helps you play the fun bullshitting tango, which I adore.
Yeah, and you're a fucking master at that shit. All of your stuff. It doesn't matter what it was or what the situation is, especially in the finale. You're like, can I somehow shoehorn this into it? And oh my god, those rolls in the finale, man. Like,
oh goodness. So I re-listened to the finale this week to prepare for this. And oh my goodness, I don't think we rolled below like a 15 that entire...
Like, the modifier is ridiculous, but the rolls were also just off the charts. I think there was a handful at most of single-digit rolls.
And it just let us get away with absolute ridiculousness.
Oh, it went so bonkers. It was amazing. I was saying to Mark, who plays Sir Ingram, when I did this interview, I didn't really have to do much that session because you just all ran away with it. I just like, yeah, okay, you want to do that? Sure. And all I had to do was occasionally roll some dice to define which group was the best dancers.
You put all the social characters together and that's going to happen. We're just going to all party face until you shut us all up, basically.
Yeah, I loved that session so much. It was just hilarious and ridiculous, and especially for a big finale, and that whole thing was just one massive thing, and that was such a big part of it. I guess for the first half, the third and fourth episodes featured you less. In fact, I don't think your group was at all in the third episode.
No, we were a little bit in the last one.
Yeah, the whole coming together, it was just brilliant. And I was saying to Mark, the one regret I have about the finale was not letting you do your foam party thing that you set up. I was like, I should have just let them have the foam come out in that final bit.
Hey, I like to think that when the explosion happened, it sent foam everywhere.
Oh shit, maybe that's how you will survive.
Maybe. Hey, I don't know if pint glass cleaner and egg whites mixed together protects you from fire, but I like it.
Yeah, you have a knack. You've just got such a way of playing these things that just expands and compounds, and yeah, you are a joy to have as a player because you make everything so much bigger and larger and more ridiculous.
I'm glad. Hey, I'm always down to join a table.
Yeah, I mean, this is a whole thing, right? You're in a lot of shit.
Weirdly, I had to drop a couple recently because I got overwhelmed a bit.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
But yeah, I'm excited. There's some stuff I can't talk about yet because I'm in some new stuff soon, fingers crossed. But I'm excited. I've got some stuff with some people who I really admire.
Yeah.
Both their creativity in general and as people and their former tabletop podcasting stuff. So that's exciting.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll sidestep away from the secret stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, you were a big character in everything you played in Cybertopia. Was there any favorite moments of other people's that you have from your missions or other ones that you listen to?
Yeah. I was just thinking, I loved how wildly varied the finale was, how different each of the different parties felt. And it hit me again yesterday when I was finishing I think it was the third episode, where the kill team had gone in. And the moment, I think his name was Ty, maybe, one of the leaders, got stabbed in the neck. And then I think it was KO punched the knife that was stabbed into the guy's neck. And I'm like, God damn. I'm glad Maurice is downstairs because I know we were cold-hearted last mission, but I'm not sure we could handle this. It was great.
And funnily enough, Ty was the only one that survived till the end. It was with a knife sticking out of his neck. Yeah.
And like the sewer team, as soon as they realized the danger that was going on, they all jumped into like serious work mode, which was great. And just, the variety in the finale was wild. But I think that moment stuck out to me. It might be recency bias because I just re-listened to the finale. But the moment of the guy getting stabbed and then punched, and then they tried to find the cloaked person by spraying blood around the room, I was like, this session is amazing. Loved that.
Every session of the finale, and to be fair, every session of the whole series was just brilliant. All of them worked so great, and there was never any moments where it felt like, oh, this is getting a bit boring or this is going a bit too slow or anything. And like you said, the finale, all of the teams were very different and had kind of pretty different themes and different feels to them, and every episode was kind of like that. And even though some of them were fairly similar, there was a couple of heists, there was a couple of invasion kind of ones and stuff like that, all of them felt different, and all of them had a different team as well, which I think contributed to that.
Absolutely.
Was there anyone that you listened to that you thought, oh, I think Maurice would work really well with them, or that you'd really like to play with?
I would have loved to have played with KO's character. Bludgeon, that's it. Rev's character would have been fun.
Oh, Julie, the scientist?
Yeah. I think that would have been fun. I think we would have bounced off well. It would have been a fun fish out of water episode, I think. If that had been like the squad for Maurice's first mission, I feel like we could have really played up the, oh God, I don't know if I made the right decision coming here.
Yeah, because like Rev's character Julie is really, or was really into the whole corporate thing.
Yeah.
I love Amazing Core. On my first mission, they gave me this great boost of being extra athletic and shit.
Yeah. And Maurice is there like, hey, does anyone want eggs? I guess. They didn't give me upgrades. I already had these.
Yeah. Was there any of the missions you would have liked to have been on? Or any particular kind of mission that you didn't go on that you'd like to be on in future? Like, would you like to be in a heist? Would you like to be in a combat mission?
I have a soft spot for heist missions. A combat mission again would be a fun fish out of water place. Played a character on Curse of Strahd stream for a while who their whole thing was that they were like boastful and yes, I'm a great warrior, and they just weren't. They were like a character with zero combat skills whatsoever, but they had to try and keep the front up. And I would have loved to have played Maurice a bit like that, where it was about finding creative ways to not fight or creative ways to fight and not get destroyed. That would have been fun.
Maybe that could be a future arc for Maurice. Maybe Maurice comes out of this of being like, I survived the building explosion.
Yeah, I could never die. Invincible Maurice. Apart from that, I am always partial to a death race episode. I love death races.
I have been thinking of how we could have something like that, like a car chase or something. Yeah.
They are my number one request anytime a DM's like, have you got any ideas for missions that you'd like to do in the campaign coming up? Anything setting-wise? Like, death race, let's go.
Well, I mean, we've had a couple of the tropes. We had a train and we've had a nightclub.
Oh, yeah.
Some sort of car racing kind of thing is pretty cyberpunky, so that could come up.
I like it. I think, give me full-on Furiosa. We're racing war rigs across, I don't know, across somewhere. You know, platformed vehicle combat. I'm super into that. That sounds like a laugh.
Do like a Tron thing through the city or something.
Oh, yes.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
I like it.
So, I mean, I guess we've kind of gone down this road a little bit here anyway. But yeah, before we get into season 2, I'm going to do us all through a city building, faction building game that I've written based on Beak, Feather and Bone, which I think you are probably going to completely tear apart and make a complete mockery of with your nonsense.
I'm going to love it.
But also, actually, when we get into season 2, I'm going to make it a lot more player-led.
Ooh, nice. Okay.
Basically, the whole of season 1 was pretty structured around the pre-written missions that I've got in the book. But in season 2, I'm like, nah, I'm not writing anything. You lot are going to decide where you're going to go, who you're going to interact with, what kind of missions you're going to do. If you just want to chill out and become a chef in a diner, you can go and do that. I'm not sure the rest of the people in your session are going to want
option. Yeah.
But yeah,
we've left the diner life behind. They weren't there for me when I needed them the most.
You're an invincible diner robot now. You can't be stopped.
The big, twist, the big reveal at the end of the season, I think I could see a good amount of folks turning pretty anti-corpo.
How do you think Maurice is going to feel?
I think Maurice already felt angry at the world. And this was like I've lost the thing that I gave up a lot of my life for, to automation, and this was my last stand, my last hope at making something, and they did that. They blew us up, assholes. And now, am I even here? Do I even exist? Am I a robot, really? Who fucking knows at this point?
Do you think that Maurice will feel any remorse or guilt about their involvement? Because they basically enclosed all of those people down there, having a good fun time, having a party.
Yeah, we corralled them all in.
They weren't necessarily good people. They were involved in these factions that, they were anti-Amazing Core, but they may have also been doing good things.
For sure. I mean, I definitely, again, having played too much Cyberpunk Red, it's really hard for me to play a character that is fully pro-corp. So I was always like going, yeah, I feel a little bit bad anyway. I would love to see Maurice team up with some people and try and bring back the anti-corp movement from the ashes, specifically ACM. I kind of like the idea of the petition waving, like we've written a strongly worded letter being slowly revolutionized. That sounds like a fun time.
They're the political faction, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Just like we've written a strongly worded letter. Okay, cool. That's good. We should send the strongly worded letter, but also just a little anti-corp terrorism as a treat. Yeah, sound good. I like the idea of leading them to that.
It's kind of hinted at in the ACM's kind of lore of, yes, they are at the forefront a political movement. And they do protests and they do petitions and stuff, but they are suspected of doing some high-profile murders and kidnappings with only circumstantial evidence, of course.
I suspect, unfortunately, that most of the people who did that may have perished in the big building fire. I feel like most important people might have been there.
The leadership is gone, which, of course, leaves a power vacuum for some people to potentially slip in.
I mean, who knows?
And I mean, though large portions of the three big factions have now been decimated, there are still splinters of those, and they will be part of the faction city building game that we run, and you'll be able to develop them and yourselves decide how these groups end up. Okay. So if you want to insert yourselves as leadership within them, given the opportunity, there's a possibility of that.
Reunite the shattered cells. I like it.
And not to forget that there are a group of hackers that are from the ACM that are imprisoned at Amazing Corp. So.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well there we go. We've got to get them out. We've got to have the redemption arc.
Yeah, someone else mentioned them before. It may have been Mark, I can't remember. But yeah, there's definitely going to be some people from Series 1 that will reappear in Season 2. Do you have any favourite NPCs or anyone that you'd like to see again?
Oh my goodness, I can't remember his name. Oh, the guard from the train heist, whose name I can't remember off the top of my head, who we locked in. I feel really bad. I feel like he might have lost his job over it. And
I also can't remember his name.
I can't off the top of my head, but I feel like if he lost his job over that, which I mean, he was a guard.
Johnny rings a bell.
It does sound like it could have been that.
Or was Johnny the guy in the diner?
Not sure.
Oh, I can't remember. Jimmy. No, Jimmy was in the diner. It was Jimmy in the diner. It might have been Johnny in the train. I do like my names because there was also George.
But if Maurice found out that guard lost his job after that heist, and we're now like anti-corp, we'd want to be trying to make amends for our previous pro-corp failings. I think we'd give him a job. I think we'd bring him along, help him get revenge on the corporation that took his livelihood away just for the crime of being locked in a room.
I mean, funnily enough, he was slightly involved in the heist attempt. Like,
well, yeah.
He'd been paid off to slow the train down so they could come and steal stuff, but he wasn't in the know.
Yeah, but again, losing your job for just trying to make a little bit of extra money on the side in that kind of environment, I bet we could radicalize him.
I love it. Yeah. It's funny. The different levels of animosity that are being revealed in these interviews has been revealing. So something else I'm going to be doing in Season 2 is dramatically reducing your item and skill points, because you no longer have access to Amazing Core facilities that are providing you all these things.
That makes sense.
I've got an idea of what you're going to say here, but what would be the iconic things that you would want to be keeping for Maurice?
Well, I mean, see, this is the interesting part, because it sounds like, I'd want to take the Chefmatic enhancements, right? That was kind of the core of their utility. And it was one of those wonderful items that I love having in Cybertopia, where it's like, you can kind of make it a little bit of anything.
Whatever you want. Yeah.
Yeah, which I love. I love that thing. If it costs you 2 item points, but it's a big bag of miscellaneous stuff related to this.
Like, here is an egg. And out of this arm is some lemonade.
Exactly. And the more innocuous it is, the better, because the GM's like, that's fine. It's just a bag of chef supplies. What are you going to do with that? Well, let's find out what we can do with that.
The beauty of it is that it doesn't really matter what you say or do, because at the end of the day, it's only going to add a +1 or +2 to the roll. And unless you're managing to pull out everything like you did in the finale, it's not really adding up that much.
But it's a fun jumping off point, because had I not been looking at the character sheet, for example, in the finale and going, what on earth can I do with things that might be in a bar cart? Because we had the bar cart, and I was like, what can I do with a bar cart to cause some sort of chaos?
How many eggs do I have exactly?
Exactly, yeah, let's try and foam party? Yeah, so I love those items that are like a collection of miscellaneous items in this category, because it's one of those limitations breed creativity, even though it's like the opposite of a limitation, really.
Yeah, like I was going to say, it gives you a particularly difficult task as a player. I've got so many options now. But it didn't ever really seem to be something that you struggled to handle with having too many options. I get the feeling you're the kind of person that has a bazillion things going through your brain at any time, and you can always just pluck something out.
If ever I'm stuck for what to do in a tabletop game, we just start talking and see what comes out.
Yes, I can tell that.
And then sort of justify it after the fact.
And this is why you're so good at blagging shit.
Exactly, yeah, it's why I really like this system. Yeah, so I think it would have to be the Chefmatic enhancements, but I also kind of like the idea of the explosion having damaged a lot of Maurice. And maybe we go with a different set of enhancements, They've been damaged and we have to get some discount cyberware, and it could be fun, like, I couldn't get a Chefmatic arm, they discontinued them, bloody Amazing Corp screwed me again.
So I've just bolted on the microwave gun in its place.
Yeah, I've got like the office supply arm with like, a staple gun and post-it notes.
I just went down the thrift store and took whatever I could find.
Yeah, I grabbed the arm with the most things stuck to it and tried to figure it out.
Nice. I'm excited to see where Maurice ends up. A bit of a RoboCop kind of situation going on here, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, so you're going to be let out into the wide world and let to follow whatever leads you'd want to. Are there any loose ends you'd want to explore in season 2?
I'm imagining Maurice making a mental list of wrongdoings and going back and writing those wrongdoings now they've realized their position change. So
go back to the neighborhood of Pylon 1
and let's tear this goddamn pylon down and I don't know, sell it for scrap and fund the hover hockey team. Yeah, the train guard, the hackers, that's the big one, I think, is busting those guys out, because
you did them dirty, man.
Yeah, real dirty. That's, I think, Maurice is lying in that field hospital recovering. That'll be the thing where they go, oh, I picked the wrong side. Oh, fuck. I really messed those guys up. Like, that's the one that they'd be beating themselves up over, I think.
Gonna be a big one.
That's the part where they were most ruthless, most corporate. Yeah.
I'm so excited to see Maurice come back. The nonsense that he's going to get up to, and I think he will work with any of the players in this game well, and everyone just bounces off each other really great. And when we get that ball rolling on, what I'm planning to do is have you have longer arcs, longer stints with a particular group, so maybe 4, 5, 6 sessions with the same group, so you can get some connections going, you get some relationships building and stuff.
That sounds fun.
I guess we'll see how it actually ends up going when we get playing, because it's going to be player directed. You may just decide after the first session, oh yeah, Maurice is going to go off and take a job up at the post office.
Yeah, he's got his office supply arm. He's set now, like...
That's going to stick, isn't it? It's going to be the office supplier. But like, can you imagine maybe Maurice going off on a bit of a solo stint to try and worm their way into Amazing Core lower levels and try and figure out a back door into the company or something?
Take him down from the inside, work my way up from the post room. The post comes back. Build my way up to be an executive, and then crush it from the inside. That does sound fun as well.
Well, there is actually a mail room at Amazing Core. I don't know if you listened to the Christmas special I did, which was incidentally the same Christmas special that you did before we did the actual series.
Yes,
it was the same scenario, except they did it very differently.
Where I also had a character with an item that was full
like
of rubbish.
A gingerbread man kind of character, wasn't it? Minty, I think it was.
And just made of various sweets. Yeah.
It was wonderful. But yeah, so in the Christmas special that I did with his Cursedness crew, they had been demoted from their original Amazing Corp jobs into the mailroom, and then they, at the end of the mission, get fired from that because they did a bad job on the mission.
Oh no.
So the mailroom does exist and has vacancies.
Apparently, yeah. Inside job arc does sound pretty good.
Yeah,
that would be fun too. You get to pull all the folks together who can pull that corpo speak off.
I'm not putting you with all the social people again. I'm not.
You know you want to.
I was immediately thinking Maurice and Sir Ingram team up again because you two were brilliant together.
We need to go in and leverage the mind share and blue sky think our way to the top of the paradigm shift.
Oh no! This can't happen because you will go mad on the punnage. Yeah. So, like I said earlier, you're in a lot of stuff. What have you got going on at the moment that you can talk about?
Yeah. So Oasis is recording still, which is Tales from the Oasis. If anyone doesn't know, is a Cyberpunk Red podcast. TalesFromTheOasis.com. Always be plugging.
I really hope you do manage to get season 2 actually coming out at some point. I know it was a hell of a load on art and styling to actually get it out.
Yeah, fingers crossed. It was an expensive season to produce. It was worth it.
I had no idea because I did this all on the cheap, just myself, which everyone told me don't do this by yourself, Ben. And I did it. And yeah, when I think back to the hours that were spent and everything, wow, yeah.
I've tried my hand at podcast editing. I am not good at it. I'm not good at using my time well. So I get stuck into something like that and it goes for years. But Art started off editing Oasis and it was great. But we quite quickly brought on Paul of Quest Fantastic on to do the editing, and they are fantastic at it. But also, as big anti-capitalist pro-workers' rights podcast, we weren't going to be like, hey, come edit this for no money. So it was an expensive season to produce, but fingers crossed we can get stuff together for the second season. We've got a whole season recorded and not edited, and we're on a third season now recording, just because we like playing together, even if it doesn't go anywhere.
I mean, the group's fantastic. I listened to Andrea back when she was in Omen, and that was one of my first actual plays I listened to, actually. It was amazing, and I love hearing her in Oasis, and her character stuff just, the whole group of you is just fantastic. You work so well together.
They are wonderful people to play role-playing games with.
And Art is just a brilliant game runner.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Has a great way.
Fingers crossed. Again, details, but I should be in something else with Andrea pretty soon. Fingers crossed. Been delayed a couple of times now, but we should be starting up soon, so eyes on this space, I guess.
Cool. And of course, you're with Ampersand Productions. With a different pool.
Different pool,
and, as you said, with KO.
Yeah, with KO. We were streaming a Cybertopia game. Unfortunately, we lost a couple of players, so we have mini rebooted another Cybertopia campaign. But this one is not going out live. We are recording this one, so at some point in your podcast feeds, there'll be another Cybertopia game coming out.
I'm really glad that you managed to convince Paul to do this. To have another actual play of my system out there is kind of wild and really cool.
It's wonderful. It fits Paul's DMing style to a T as well.
He's hilarious with it.
Yeah.
And the little tweaks he made to the system as well, I really enjoy.
He is not afraid to be like, I don't like that bit. Or like, I can't remember that bit, so I'm just going to make something up, which is great. We've played the first session of the new campaign already, and it is fun. I think you will enjoy the characters.
Just seeing the characters chat that is in the Discord, because I have private access. Just seeing the characters is just bonkers. The ideas that you lot have already come up with. Some of the stuff that came out in season 1 of Cybertopia in terms of the characters, I was like, I would never have thought of this as a thing. And I just gave you the freedom to just pick whatever you want. And then Ray comes in and it's like, I want to be a mech pilot. I'm like, oh God, how do I do this?
I've got to fit mechs into the setting.
And then you're a fucking customer service person and Mark was a tea person and shit. And I was like, oh, sure. And seeing what's coming in for the the characters. I mean, the characters you had in Encore with the streamed Cybertopia were amazing, and in seeing the stuff that is in your podcast version is brilliant. And as you were saying earlier, the very abstract naming of some of the skills and stuff, KO's skills in that of them.
Oh my goodness! I hope that when the podcast goes out, that Paul will do a rundown of character sheets at some point, because KO's skill listings for his character in this new series are just the epitome of what I aspire to make characters in a game like this, because they are all varied, they are all a little bit abstract, and also all puns, which is important.
Yeah, of course.
I'm very excited.
It does set you a difficult bar, though, for future of, you've got to keep this up. If you get new skills or you're going to try new different things, you have to keep that going. And I think that's something that Chris, who played Smart Cool Man, he struggled a couple of times when he had new learnings and stuff. Oh, what do we call this one? And some of them we never even managed to figure out during the session at all. So, yeah.
It can be tricky. I can't play a character with like punching +1 now. I tell you what, while I'm here, while I've got an audience with the creator themselves, can I get a ruling that I can take back to Paul?
You can, but whether he's going to listen to me or not is a different question.
Wow. Hey, you know me, I'll blag it if I've got the back.
Yeah.
My new character, under skills, has +1 manipulation. Now, they are a social character. However, recently, they had to fiddle around with something fiddly and get it just in the right place. I was not allowed to add manipulation. Now, the sheet does not state that it's social manipulation. It just says manipulation. And I thought I was in for a winner there. I was like, I'm going to use this both ways. I'm going to be a jammy git. And I was not allowed.
I would definitely have let it happen.
Let's go. I'm taking that back next session.
When I was playtesting Cybertopia, one of my friends was a combat electrician, right? And one of his skills was conducting, which, I mean, as an electrician, conducting makes sense. He also wanted to be able to use it for conducting people, conducting operations and exercises and stuff. So
I was thinking orchestra.
Yeah,
I think
if an orchestra had somehow appeared in the mission he did,
that sounds fantastic. I like that. See, that's the kind of skill that I love. So I'm taking it. Paul, when you listen to this, I'll have already argued.
Sorry, Paul.
I've got the proof right here.
So you're in Oasis, you're in ampersand stuff.
Yes.
I mean, you're also in other ampersand stuff sometimes, right? Because you did that with the Curse of Strahd campaign as well.
I did the Curse of Strahd game on the Tuesday. We haven't got a live game at the moment. We've kind of replaced this Tuesday live stream with podcast recording time. I will happily jump into anything over there whenever I've got time. I have a home game as well, so like I'm kind of filling all my slots at the moment. I've run a one-shot over there. I don't DM very often because I
was going to ask, I only know you as a player. Is that your more comfort zone or...
I'm just an anxious lady. Like really anxious. Tabletop stuff I enjoy a lot, but I still get really anxious about playing. The fact that people enjoyed Maurice still blows my mind, and DMing like amplifies that to 100, because suddenly, instead of, if I'm not on my game or whatever and I'm playing, I can kind of coast along, you know, do the useful bits my character's there for, and we'll see how it goes. If I'm DMing and I'm not on my game, that's like 4 people and me not having a fun evening. That's excruciating.
Yeah, I can get the anxiety of that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've heard you so much in Oasis and Paul's stuff and, of course, our games. You just feel very natural in all of this. I guess that's the masking and the covering. And...
Yeah, I mean, people say that, and it's something I'd love to get over for DMing in particular, because I have ideas for things, but it's quite hard as a player to go out and pitch an idea for a show or a stream and then go, yeah, but I don't want to run it. I want to play this, you do it.
Not everyone is suited to running games. And a lot of people say, like, oh, if you can play, then you can run. It is a different skill set.
Absolutely.
And it is a different kind of pressure. I'm not going to say it's more pressure, because if you're the kind of person that likes DMing, it's not. But it is different. And that is not to be underestimated, for sure.
Absolutely. One of the key bits is my memory's terrible. I note take now quite religiously when we're playing games.
Yeah. I can't do that.
Well, for a long time I didn't either, right? And led myself to being in a campaign that I've been in for like 2 years or something, and sort of sitting there and going, What are we doing? Where are we going? Who? And I love the game. It's not like I'm turning up and phoning in every week. I'm there and I'm enjoying it and I'm looking forward to it, and character interactions, and I've got my character vibe great, and the party vibe great. But I just forget what our great quest is supposed to be.
Memory is difficult. Yeah. Like, I can't remember stuff from my own life, and I'm living it.
Yeah. And when it comes to DMing, that's tricky.
Yeah.
My note-taking can't quite keep up enough for DMing and memorizing rules as well.
That's why I love running Cybertopia, because there's basically no rules.
I would love to run, I think, Cybertopia sometime. I think would be a fun time.
Done.
Yeah, hey, I'll do it. Like, I'm down. What do I like? I ran Roll for Shoes for Paul's channel.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about that.
I love that as well. That's another one of those games where, as you do things, your character changes with the game and with the consequence of their actions, which, again, is my jam. And that level of rules I can remember because there's like 3. I can do that.
It's like Lasers and Feelings, isn't it?
Oh, I love that too.
Yeah.
Love those games. Yeah. Hey, I'd love to run Cybertopia sometime. Just let me know.
Do it one day. Yeah.
It'd be a laugh, yeah.
Scheduling and all that. But we'll make it happen, yeah. Oh, no, it would be amazing. I've never had someone run it for me before, actually.
That's wild.
And I was very tempted to try and jump in on Paul's stuff at Ampersand, but the timing and the scheduling just doesn't work out for me.
I tell you what, we'll have to do that. I think it'd be a laugh. We need some other, like, forever GMs. This was one of the things I wanted to pitch.
Well, get me on, get Paul on.
Yeah. Paul hates being a player, though. Paul said before, he's like, I can't play games. I found it with Art as well.
Really?
Yeah, Art's like, I can't play. I can't pay attention. Like, I'm not involved all the time, so I can't pay attention. I can't be doing this. And I'm like, I'm completely the opposite. DMing your brains on all the time. So I find that really hard versus playing, but, people are different. It's cool.
I'd never thought about it that way before, but yeah, that actually makes sense. We'll get a group together.
Yeah. That's one of the shows I'd love to have run at some point, was getting forever DMs together of various podcast shows or people who built games or whatever, and then having their players of each of their campaigns run a one-shot for them. And it was going to be called Flip the Tables, which is a great name for it.
That's good shit.
I don't have any... Hey, anyone listening, that's I'm sure it's not a groundbreaking idea, but, someone make it. It'd be great. I'd listen.
Jen's here, the ideas person. And actually, we should definitely do this. We could have you run a game of Cybertopia. Valerie has done like a communist hack of Cybertopia that she's been talking about running at some point. So that would be really cool.
Rev's made loads of games. I'm sure we can get someone else from the cast to run one of them.
Yeah. Oh, we could totally have some side games. One thing that I've always really wanted to do would be to get the Oasis group to play Cybertopia, or do like a crossover Cybertopia X Oasis.
I would love that. Amazing. The problem's been scheduling for us as well, because everyone busy in time zones as well, because we're all across the place. But I would love that. I bet you could get a couple of us at least. So, hey, just tell me the time and I'll bully people until they turn up.
To be fair, I've got to get season 2 sorted before I can really start doing stuff. But time and schedules and all that shit. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, is there anything else you're involved in that we should talk about? Or
gosh, no, I don't do anything. Sure. I was giggling because I was listening to all the interlude in Cybertopia. Like, yes, I've made this wonderful, sprawling, brilliant world and this immersive tabletop game. I'm like, play games. I turn up. I do a silly voice sometimes. Yeah, I'm not really involved in anything like that.
I mean, we've got a range of people, right? There's game designers, there's podcast people, there's streamers and stuff. Like Ray doesn't do anything, and he just came in through the Discord, and that was it.
Yeah,
so
I play.
We had the whole spectrum of TTRPG people involved in season 1.
Absolutely,
I can't wait to get back into it for season 2. I mean, you are at least on social media and stuff. I still see you occasionally around.
Yeah.
As shy as the world is on social media these days.
Yeah, clinging to the rotting corpse that was Twitter, yeah.
Where can we find you? What's your at?
Jen Gembles on Twitter, or go follow Oasis Cyberpunk for Tales from the Oasis. That's about where you can find me, really. Or hanging out in the Oasis or Ampersand D20 Discords, or Cybertopia Discord.
Yeah.
Can't really get there, I guess.
That's a part.
Yeah. Sorry, everyone has Discord servers nowadays, so I can't remember which ones are open or not. That's about it, really. And maybe you'll see me on AmpersandD20 on Twitch if they pull me into another live show. Yeah. And hopefully, again,
there'll be more things, and we'll have to keep an eye on whatever secret new things are going to be coming out soon.
On your favourite podcast following net. I can't remember if it's Good Pods or Podchaser. One of them's got like an artist follow.
Oh, right.
Where you can like cast credit yourself.
See, nowadays, like, it's not just that there's too many social medias, there's too many pod things.
I know. I can't do it. Podcast editing, pain. Podcast production, pain. Podcast advertising.
Even podcast listening.
Yeah, I know, right? There's too many.
Right.
Even if you just try and listen to all the cool things that people on the cast of Cybertopia AP are in.
I can't keep
so
up with
many podcasts.
I'm actually kind of glad, as much as I miss Oasis, I'm like, okay, that's a slot that is freed up whilst they're off.
Something. It's 30-minute episodes, so if you're looking for something, go listen. But yeah,
I don't know how they managed to get it down to 30-minute episodes, because I tried to keep them short with Cybertopia. And
Art and Paul are wizards. That's all I can say. Yeah. Like, I do not know how they did it. We did a little mini-series a while back, and I tried to edit that.
I think I remember those ones.
Before it got taken over and someone else edited it instead, because I was getting everything mixed up. I got those down to about 45 minutes each, and that was a stretch. And then they came out at, like, I think it was 30 or 35, and I'm like, I don't miss the, like, 10, 15 minutes that are missing. And you've added intros and outros as well, so it's a bit more than that.
Yeah.
Wizards. Podcast editors are wizards.
But this was great. I thoroughly enjoyed talking to you and having you as a player and finding out about everything, and I can't wait to see Maurice come back.
I'm excited. Very excited. I love playing under you as a DM. It's been great. I love chatting anytime.
Excited to see the other new stuff you've got coming out. So
yes, I will shout it from the rooftops, don't worry.
Just before you go, I'm super pleased to say that since recording this, Jen has informed me that I am allowed to announce that the new show she's going to be on is going to be officially announced soon. We mentioned it briefly in this interview, and it's also got a shout out on Keith's interview a wee while back. But Omen Investigations is one of my favourite shows ever. They've been on hiatus for literally years, but they're coming back, and Jen's going to be in the new series they're putting out. I don't know exactly when yet, but you might have time to squeeze in a listen of the original, but definitely keep an ear out for them, and I will be giving it a big shout out when it does finally drop.